There is a northern wind again, pushing the storm clouds back down to earth. As the earth inhales the rain, it exhales life. I see no waste in this natural cycle. Now, when it comes to the few people on earth constantly giving the rest of humanity a bad name, what wasted lives and possibilities do they represent? Specifically, the few that use war as a tool and a necessary means to quickly achieve their ambitions. All shortcuts in life degenerate the quality of the final outcome, and I'm sure they know this. But since they continue to choose a course of destruction, let's stop and ask this question. Why does a war still happen? Why are so many still going along with it? The horror and pain it brings should make any good moral person walk away in disgust at the very thought of war. The history books and the news media will have you believe that wars happen as some form of vengeance or for religious and nationalistic reasons. But in reality, these are not the reasons at all. They only serve as the emotional triggers used to gain public support and fuel military motivation. Both are being played while they dance in a trance to a drumbeat of war and illusion. The official scripted reasons deceptively frame a path for the mind without a detour or U-turn, just a straight descent to the same dead-end conclusion. The public conversation is quickly reduced to that of a schoolyard or a roadside bar, where one's values, differences, loyalties, or beliefs are called out and belittled to instigate a direct reaction. It is no coincidence that those working to achieve a world government also constantly demonize guns, individualism, family, property, country, culture, and religion. By staging wars around these ideas, they help to reinforce the false insecure notion that these ideas are the cause of all our problems and that national or religious differences cannot coexist but must be assimilated. These self-proclaimed gods of war have many other reasons. The military is used to indoctrinate the young, free-thinking individuals who love their family and country into a closed-minded, order-following existence which they no longer control. Then, under a ploy of a false flag aggression, they are sent into sovereign, stable, or covertly destabilized countries or regions, destroying their infrastructure and economy to ultimately make them subject to an outside authority. This allows for further global usurpation of power from the many to the few. War causes not only traumatic death and injury to soldiers and innocent casualties, but also inflicts trauma-based mind control onto the general public. Now, they will readily accept an even more restrictive way of life under a more empowered, centralized government. All these narratives are important for the public to fall into. They will ease the transition to a despotic socialist world government and one world humanist religion, the final solution. But while they also use war to satisfy the sick desire for bloodletting rituals, they themselves hardly lift one finger to choose the next enemy target, but never to pull the trigger. The act of war is still in human hands, and it is still up to those people asked to fight to decide if their own morality allows them to murder somebody else. So how do so many make the wrong decision? Well, morality has been on a steady decline, but not without persistent help from prominent leaders in the entertainment and news industries. They developed a sales formula that combines the worst examples of human behavior right along with celebrity gossip and stories on those in positions of power, or to make it even more blatant, just famous people doing hideous things. This commingling of immorality with popularity is not an accident, and it leads the audience to equate the two. At the same rate, glorification of war is all around us, with exposure to violent cartoons and video games since diapers, all the way through government's education, movies, and the daily news dispatch straight off the desk from psychological operations, always promoting the public's acceptance of war. Manipulation around the subject of war goes deep into our language and far back in time. Take an old phrase, for example, like the art of war. Why not the skill of war? Art of war is not just another euphemism, but also a juxtaposition to evoke a pleasant emotion from what really is murder. Look up the definition of war in most dictionaries, and unsurprisingly, you will not find the word murder. Instead, there will be many dry understatements that sterilize and legitimize violence. Violence, another word rarely found under the definition of war. Today, preemptive war is justified by the mere possibility of aggression. War is being declared on those only accused of a crime, or on artificially spiked societal issues like drugs and poverty. This phrasing and the subsequent military or police action that it introduces not only generates warlike terror and fear in population, but also normalizes war as something necessary, common, and unavoidable. So people will begin to demand that their rights be taken away to put an end to it. Nice, well-meaning parents in desperation will also accept their own sons and daughters going to war as a viable solution to any given problem. The idea here is for people to falsely view war and terror as an inseparable part of human nature. Then, the need for a global police force maintaining transnational order can be easily justified. Already, under the same guise of protection, universal standards on every part of life, property, and the environment are being established, along with international organizations to fund, implement, control, and enforce adherence to these standards. Soon, national borders will be totally transparent to this scheme of global governance, and all people will be subjugated to a new hierarchy of transcontinental authoritarian monopoly. Of course, this is being currently sold with benevolent intentions. But once the system ramps up to integrate all levels of local and regional governments under its jurisdiction, the thin veil of democratic utopia will quickly drop to reveal the absolute nature of this totalitarian dystopia. But wait a minute, didn't anyone notice that all of this is being built and promoted by the same groups that caused the original ills of society and for which now they claim to have a cure? Deep down, everyone does know that this monstrosity, when fed with more power, just grows and grows. And as it grows, the freedoms of the smallest human minority on earth, the individual freedoms, will be subordinated out of existence. The perpetual cycles of war will also continue, along with the other fabricated problems, as they will all help to justify the world government's need for continued persistence. So what is the best solution to the problem of war? It is for people to wake up from the sick trance and loudly admit to themselves the undeniable truth that murder of another human being is not natural, no matter how skillfully or painfully it's being justified for public consumption. This truth, then, cannot be denied, even after the severe brainwashing that the minds of soldiers and civilians endured to dehumanize an enemy. If a killing was not an unavoidable self-defensive action, it will remain as an unresolved, acute traumatic stress on the conscience. The shock of this internal conflict immediately becomes lodged within the mind and body, causing lingering tension that prompts for a permanent solution. But when they realize how they were manipulated and acting against their own nature, they will be able to correct the contradiction within and realign their behavior going forward. To exercise one's true conscience in the face of an opposing world takes courage. On the other hand, following commands to violate one's morality for a pittance of hollow praise and material rewards is based on fear of disapproval and disadvantage. Real strength of character is only possible when full responsibility for one's decisions is taken. Then honest, authentic behavior is rewarded with self-respect. Being at war is living a lie that serves only to support a false notion of the human condition. Exercising one's individual rights reveals that those rights to life are inherent in all of humanity. And this knowledge serves to support being at peace with others. It is not the goal of humankind to conquer each other or to conquer nature. The real goal is to simply protect the innocence we are all born with and to learn through peaceful interaction with nature and with each other about the incredible power of love and empathy, the meaning of which, in my humble estimation, is very close to the meaning of God. Love is a free gift just waiting for us to nurture and apply. By aligning only with ideas and actions that liberate our heart, eliminate fear, and restore our faith, we will manifest a truly emancipated world where individual freedom is never made dependent on someone or something else. Instead, it thrives with voluntary cooperation and mutual respect for others. Self-determination over one's life is an unalienable right that cannot be denied to anyone. The responsibility that comes along with this right is to understand that it cannot be maintained while actively taking it away from others. So while the war-hungry criminals plan to degrade humanity with their mob-rule depravity, all those who choose to save their soul instead can help uplift the others by their own example of conspicuous gallantry towards all life in reverence to its creator.